Hi, I'm Dorothy Leon, and about 3 years ago, my grandson came to live with me, and he's an indigo. At the time, I didn't know very much about indigos, but I certainly learned a lot since then. Without getting in specifics about my grandson, I'd like to say just a little bit about indigos. They started incarnating around 1982, probably the oldest indigo. There's always forerunners. The oldest one might be as much as 35 years old. My grandson happens to be 25.
I'm sorry. I think I have to start you over.
No, okay. That's better for me anyway.
It looks better. So take two.
My name is Dorothy Leon, and about 2.5 years ago, my grandson came to live with me, and he is an indigo. At the time, I didn't know too much about indigos, but I certainly...
Nope, we're going to do take three, because now I'm looking at this. This might just not be quite right, so let's do that.
Okay.
Thanks
Ready?
for being flexible.
Take three.
Take three.
I'm Dorothy Leon, and about 2.5 years ago, my grandson came to live with me, and he is an indigo. At the time, I didn't know much about indigos, but I've learned quite a bit since then. Some of it may be the hard way. But anyway, the indigos are quite a group of people. They're called indigos because of the color of their aura. And I have worked a lot with the violet flame, which is a combination of pink and blue. The indigo is far more blue, and blue happens to be the power ray, where pink is the love. These indigos are very, very powerful. They've started incarnating about around 1982. There's always forerunners, so probably the oldest one is around 35. My grandson happens to be 25. And then they quit incarnating probably at about 10 years ago, and then the crystal children started incarnating. And actually, many of the indigos have become parents of these crystal children. And how this relates, I like to relate it to John the Baptist. John the Baptist is like the indigo energy. He came in wearing wild-type clothes, eating wild-type food, and with a very dynamic personality, just really getting things going. And he was preparing the way for the Christ. And this is what the indigos are doing. They're preparing the way for the Christ, or the crystal children, crystal meaning Christ all. And the reason for this is the indigos have this very dynamic personality that can just make changes, and they see things. They're very interdimensional. They work a lot with the fourth and fifth dimension. They are going to make a lot of changes in the government and in the whole world, and they need to prepare the way for the more gentle Christ children, Christ crystal children that are incarnating now. And the crystal children can be more like the leaders when the golden age really gets going. But before they can take over as leaders, these indigos, who are also what the Indians call the people of the seventh fire, which would mean the seventh ray, the violet ray, and they can prepare everything so that the crystal children can rule in a very Christ-like fashion. They have a unique way of changing things. Living with one for going on 3 years now, I've seen just all kinds of things. They're very, very different. They have a power. Actually, technically, they have more of their DNA strands. They have more of their condens, nucleic acids is a term that's given to some of the energies they have in their head. They're very attuned to the grid. We've been through the eye-opening hippies, and then we were through the next generation of yippies, and these indigos are called the zippies because they are so fast. They're super powered. My grandson can do 2 separate things with his hands. He can do one thing completely different from this hand. He's an excellent worker. He gets raises real quick when he gets a job. He's like all the indigos, they have these superpowers, and they're going to help the planet a great deal. What I'd like to do is read a little portion. I've written a book about indigos, mostly about my grandson and his struggle to overcome drugs and the struggle that so many of the indigos are having, because like my grandson says, it's like there's 20 channels going off in my head all the time and the drugs quiet them down. Well, he's found a little bit better ways in the last 3 years to quiet himself down, but it's very difficult for them. And at one point I asked him about what changes he could see that he might make, or what the indigos might make, and he had some interesting comments. So I'd like to read this from the book. You know, Alexander, it is time to start thinking about the indigos and what lies ahead. I know you want to eliminate dishonesty and will not tolerate a lack of integrity. I know you plan to eradicate that which blocks mankind's progress, and that you want to do so as peaceful warriors. I know you will be able to wield your power so dynamically to change old systems and allow the growth of new consciousness. I know you can act as vanguard system busters who can shift from third-dimensional thinking to fourth-dimensional being, and that, like John the Baptist, you can propel others into an awareness of Christ consciousness. I also know you can work with the indigo light that is even more powerful than the violet ray of transmutation. Knowing all this, my question is, how and when will you begin to unite and set these powerful concepts into action? He remained silent for a moment, then murmured, I guess we still have 5 or 6 years to get our act together. Yes, I answered, but it should not be a last-minute thing. It will require a lot of planning, won't it? Grandma, he answered reflectively, I don't think it will be a third-dimensional thinking and planning thing, but a fourth-dimensional swinging into action. There's probably a little switch in our brain that will just suddenly be turned on when the timing is right. We will all be attuned to the grid and be guided. I have a few thoughts now, but who knows what inspiration may come later. I ask, can you share any of your thoughts that you have so far? Well, he shook his head, it's obvious that we need a truer form of democracy with honest leaders to get away from all the lies, secrets, and hype. And of course, we need to be free from boundaries, to unite as planetary global citizens instead of separate races and nations. We also need to quit fighting over our concept of God and finally blend spirituality and religion so the paranormal becomes the normal. That would certainly help to enlighten those who are endarkened. Then there's a lot of little things we need to change, like admitting that money isn't wealth, comfort isn't safety, communal living is better than everyone having a big mortgage on an individual house, and that we don't need so many possessions or being attached to them. It would also be nice to have a lot more technology and start making use of electronic medicine as well as color and sound therapy. And this was just but one little jewel that he shared with me. There were many, many more, and I'm sure the other indigos all are getting all kinds of things. I know when they've gotten together here at the house, they talk about their vision of utopia for the new age. And so I think a lot of our help in setting up the new age and preparing for a better way of life and doing something about changing the existing forms is going to come from these indigos. They have been sent here as a special group of people with a special power, and I think we can just plan to see a lot of changes and have a lot of faith in these new type of people with their new type of zippy energies. So if you're interested in more information or more details, this is my book, An Indigo Struggles to Overcome Drugs. And in his overcoming of drugs, we did use a lot of alternative type methods, one of which was acupuncture, which helped a great deal, and a lot of other things. There was something, a quantum physics SCIO, that's SCIO machine, helped a great deal. And there's a lot of help for these beings who will be the John the Baptist to prepare for the coming of the Christ, and the crystal children who will be our new governors. So thank you for listening. If you want more information, you can see my website, dorothyleon.com.